and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 10 of the card making countdown, where I'm sharing 14 new card making ideas over 14 days. Today we are making Turn the Wheel cards, and this is a print and cut project. So here's the front of my card. We've got this lovely cat looking into the circle, but look what happens when I turn the wheel on the side. It goes all the way through 4 different little matching patterns. These take a little while to get the designs together in Design Space, and I'll show you how you can choose your own graphics to complete the card. And then the actual putting the card together is really simple and only takes a couple of minutes. You can either choose to make the front of your card a print and cut project like this, and I've cut mine from glossy photo paper for a little bit of extra sheen. Or you can build up some layers of cardstock like this design, where I've cut out a unicorn, stuck it together with glue and foam squares, and built up a little bit of a background too. And then on this one, it's got text on it, so as you turn, it says, "Have a magical birthday." And then at the end, a little rainbow. These cards are great because you can add whatever pictures you want in to make them perfect for any kind of theme. And 4 different designs are included with today's download. Here's how to find it. The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. Register a free ticket for the card making countdown at craftwithsarah.com/cards25. After registering, you'll get an email which contains a link to the schedule page for the countdown. Visit the schedule page to find and download today's files. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access Bundle at craftwithsarah.com/cards25 bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the card making countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. The download comes in a zip folder. You need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG files into Design Space. Open up Cricut Design Space and start a new project, then go to Upload over on the left, and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the files on your computer, or drag and drop them in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the folder, and then within there are 2 subfolders, cutting machine versions and hand cutting versions. You want the cutting machine versions, and then within there, for Design Space, choose the ones in the SVG files folder. There are 4 separate wheel cards included with today's download: a circle, heart, jelly bean, and wedge shape. Let's go for the wedge shape. I'll drag that in, and this is what it looks like. There is another circle here, you just can't see it because it's white on a white background. Press continue, and now you can see those white bits there and there, and press upload. The design should load in at 16 inches wide and 12 inches tall, and that will make a 5x7 inch card when it's all finished. Let's have a little walk through all of the pieces. We've got this darker blue, which is the base card that will be folded in half to make a 5x7 inch card. The lighter blue bit on top will be stuck on top, and this will be whatever decorations you want to add, whether you're going to print and cut the whole design, or cut out other things with your Cricut, or use any pre-made toppers or embellishments you might have in your stash. You could do stamping, you could do embossing, you could do manual die cutting. It's really up to you how you decorate it. The white rectangle over here is your message panel to go on the inside of the card, so I recommend keeping this cut from white card. Following down, we've then got 3 circles. The pink circle here is intended to be cut from craft foam to give your finger a little bit more to grip onto when you're turning the wheel. This white one here is what we'll be adding all of the images to. And then you've got one final one in a dark grey over on the right hand side, and that will vary based on which of the templates you've loaded. This one is the wedge design. So if you had the hearts one, you'd be seeing hearts there instead. This piece won't actually be cut out, it's just here as a template so that we know the size to make all of our images. First up, I'll show you how you can add little images into your wheel that sit in the shapes, and then after that we'll go on to how you can fill in the shapes completely with full print and cut images. So first, ungroup all the layers by pressing the ungroup button at the top of the layers panel. Then choose the images you want to add. For this one, I'll just go into Cricut Access and choose some random ones. What shall we do? maybe a beach theme. And I want some nice colourful ones. Will it let me? No. So you can either choose images that are specifically for print then cut, or you can choose ones that are just all in colour, and I'll show you how to turn them into a print and cut image. So I'll choose some layered images. You see at the moment this isn't print and cut because it's got all of the different pieces in there, but we can make it what we want. Turtle, and let's go for that one. So I've just chosen 4 very random images for this part. And then what you would do is you would make it smaller until it perfectly fits in one of the shapes on the grey template layer. So you see it's not touching any of that grey, it's just in the white. And then do the same for the next one. But when you get to the next one, you'll have to rotate it 90 degrees because we want the bottom of each image to always be facing the very middle of this circle. Otherwise, when you turn it, your images will appear the wrong way round. So with this one selected, I'll rotate it 90 degrees in the menu up here. Then I can make it the size I want to make it. Remember, it has to fit in that shape, otherwise you won't be able to see it all. Then the next one. This time, this one needs rotating 180 degrees, so it will look upside down. And that one will go in there. And then this one will need rotating, I think it's 270 degrees, or you could put in -90. And then you'd put that in there. So now I know these are all the right way round because the bottoms of each of these images is facing the teeny little circle in the middle. Next, drag a box around the grey circle and all your pictures and group them. Then select that and the white shape with the kind of wavy edges along the edge and press Align and then Center. That will put them one on top of the other. Then click on your grey group and ungroup it again. Go to the grey layer, click it and delete it. So now all of your pictures are perfectly positioned on top of the white circle. To turn this all into a print and cut image, drag a box around all of those pieces and down the bottom of the layers panel, press Flatten. You see now that's lost all of the black outlines around it, so you can't actually see the edge anymore, but if you move it onto something that's got colour, you can see it is still there. So what this will do now is your printer will print it out, and then the Cricut will only cut around the edge of this circle. It's not going to cut all the individual pieces of these shapes, which is exactly what we want. So that would be that one all ready. And then the rest of the project, you can change the colours to whatever you want and then press make and get it all cut out. However, I'm not going to do that for this one. What I'm going to do is do another version and show you how you can fill the whole of the shapes in colour, and also how you can fill all of the front of the card in with a printable image too. I just wanted to do this version first to give a quick introduction to the concept before we start going a little bit more complicated. For this next version of the Turn the Wheel card, I'm going to use this graphic set from creativefabrica.com, but you can use any images you want. This one's called Watercolour Cat Garden Background, and I'll drop the link to it in the description of this video for if you want to craft along using the same images. I've already started by loading in the circular version of the template, and then I've got 4 of my cat images already loaded in, and these are what I'm going to put in my circles around here. I want one more cat image, which will be to fill this piece on the front of the card. So I thought I'd use this as an opportunity to show you how to load print then cut images into Design Space. We'll go upload and then upload image, and then find the unzipped version of the download folder from wherever you found your images. For print then cut images, you're looking for either a PNG file, a PNG, or a JPG file, a JPEG. These ones here are PNGs. Let's choose one to put on. I'll go for this one with the white cat. And you might get a warning telling you that you've put in a big image. That's okay. Just wait for it to load. Then press continue. On this screen, you don't need to do anything. You don't want to remove the background or do anything on this page. Just press apply and continue. And then from this page, choose the flat graphic option, which is the third one along, and then press continue. On this page, press upload, but you might find that the upload button is grayed out. If it is, check your image name over here, because what I've found is if your image name is too short, it won't let you upload the image. So just add in something random to describe it, and then that will make the button come and become available again. Press upload. Once again, this is telling me it's a large image, so it's going to take a little while. Depending on your internet speed and the specs of your computer, this might take, a few seconds, a little while. You can see mine's trying here. There we go. You'll probably find it loads in really, really big. We'll make it a little bit smaller. There we go. I want this to go into the front of my card so it looks like the cat is looking up at the circle. Because of the semicircle cutout, which is where the wheel will go so that we can turn it, I think it would look better facing the other way. So flip horizontal. And then let's ungroup, bring this down here so we've got a bit more space to work with. I'm going to make a copy of this with the duplicate button just in case we need it again. I'm not sure if I will. And then for this one, under Operation, change it to a guide layer, and then press Arrange, Bring to Front. That changes it to look like a pink outline, so now it can be dragged on top of the picture. My picture at the moment will be too small, so let's make it bigger. And now you can position the picture so that it goes where you want it to within that pink outline. It is kind of hard to see the pink outline. Just gonna play about with this until I'm happy with where that's looking. I think that looks nice. It does look like the cat is looking up at that circle. Then drag a box around both of those layers and press Slice. Slice will cut the picture out of the front of the card. So we can move that. We don't need that anymore. Press Delete. And then we've got the guide. We don't need that. So press Delete. And then we've got this. The reason I duplicated this was that I wasn't sure if it was going to cut out the circle, but it looks like it has done. So that's great. We don't actually need that one. I'll just go ahead and delete it. And then that would be the front of my card. While we're here, let's change the colour of the base card to match. I'm thinking a sort of sagey green will look nice with the colours in that. And then add a score line. Go to Shapes, choose a score line, set it to the height of the card, which is 7 inches. Drag a box around the base card and that score line, and press, where is it? A line along the top and center, and then attach at the bottom of the layers panel. Attach is what tells the Cricut that we want it to do the scoring on this piece. And then press Arrange, center back, to move it back down there. So now we've got this green bit that will be cut from cardstock, and then this bit which will be done with print then cut. I've just realised why I might have wanted to keep the original shape of this rather than delete it. So I'm going to undo this to bring it back. And the reason is, if your image has got any transparency in it, let's say, for instance, I had a white background here and it was transparent. It means that rather than the Cricut cutting around the edges of the shape like I want it to, instead it would try and cut out any of those little bits that are transparent. I didn't notice it with this image because this doesn't have any transparency. But if yours does, here's how you would fix that so that it will cut right. I'm glad I realised that now rather than finishing the whole video and not remembering until way too late. All right, so to fix that, get your duplicated one and change it to white. And then make sure your other one is on top. Drag a box around both of those and press Align, Center. That's put them exactly one on top of the other. Then press Flatten. And that would turn it into a print then cut image, and if it had any transparent bits on, it will now be filled in with the white of that duplicated layer. So now it will cut out properly, even if your original image had transparent bits on it. Okay, crisis averted. We have fixed that in the case of transparent images. Now I just need to put my colours back and add in that score line again. Just run through this really quickly. Drag a box, align, center, attach, and then center back. Okay, so that's the front of the card done. Now we'll move on to the circles. For this one, rather than having just a little picture all on its own in each of the shapes, I want to completely fill the whole shape with my image. So to start with, I'll click on the template, the grey layer, and duplicate it to make a copy. Then press Contour at the bottom of the Layers panel, and then hide all contours. Then click into one of the shapes around the edge. It doesn't matter which one, as they're all the same size. You can see what this has done now is it's filled everything in apart from one of the holes. We want to make this the opposite way round because we only want the shape. To do that, click on the very top layer in the list down the right hand side. That will hide that one. So now we're just seeing the size of one of those shapes. And then I'll change it to a guide. And now we'll do the same thing that we did with the beach one at the start of this video. It's really important that you don't resize these shapes. If you do, then they're not going to fit into the wheel. Resize the image like I'm doing now, that's absolutely fine. But just whether you're using the circle or the heart or any of the other ones, don't resize those shapes themselves. So this now will fill the whole of that circle. Drag a box around both of them and press Slice. And that will cut out the edge, so I can delete that one. And then I've got my guide still, which I can use on the next image. And this one, I'm going to put over the template as close as I can to that shape. And you might need to use the arrow keys on your keyboard to move it tiny little amounts until it fits in that space. Then do the same with the next one. I'll do this one next, I think. I need to make it smaller. And then zoom in to make it easier to see. That pink really doesn't show up very well, that pink outline, but I can just about see it. Make that go over. Drag a box, press Slice, and then we can delete the offset, the outside bit. Keep the guide there for the next one. And then just like with the beach one, this now needs to be rotated 90 degrees because the bottom of the image should always be facing into the middle of this template. I'll put that one in there. I'm going to go ahead and pause this video and then repeat those steps for the last two images. Here's my template filled in with my 4 images, and you can see I've rotated them all around so that the bottoms are always facing in. With the guide you've got left over, you don't need that, so delete it. Drag a box around the guide, the grey piece, and then all of your images, and group them together. Then select that and the white wheel, and press Align, Center to put them one on top of the other. Click into the group and ungroup the layers, then click the grey layer and delete it. Now all of your images are perfectly positioned on the wheel shape. Drag a box around those and press Flatten to turn it into one print and cut image. And just like before, we now don't have those black outlines, so it's a bit hard to see, but if you drag it on top of something else that's got colour, then you can see those edges. And that is the card all done and ready to start the print and cut process. I mentioned earlier that this pink bit here should be cut from craft foam. If you don't have any craft foam, you can cut it from cardstock instead. Use the thickest cardstock you can. And if you're going to do it from cardstock, I would duplicate it and do 3 copies and then glue them all one on top of the other to give it some thickness. Otherwise, there's just not a lot for your finger to grip onto, which makes it hard to turn the wheel. But I do have craft foam, so I'll delete those. Go ahead and give your project a save by pressing save, and then giving it a name and saving it to a collection if you want to. And now this is ready to print and cut. So I go ahead and press make, and that will separate out everything. It would try and put the wheel and the card front on different pages. You can rotate them round. It's a little bit tricky. Sometimes it won't let you do it. You need to keep trying and moving it about and trying again. And then when you've moved it, you can go onto the other sheet, click the 3 little dots, move object, and then put it onto the first one and drag it down to make sure there's a nice gap between them. So you do only need 1 sheet of your photo paper, not 2. Don't worry that there's now an empty one here. That will disappear when you get to the next step. If you're new to cutting craft foam with your Cricut, I'll drop the link in the description of this video to a separate tutorial which goes through how to cut craft foam. And if you're new to print and cut, what I'm going to do now is insert a little clip that I recorded for one of the other countdown videos that goes through the print and cut process. I didn't think there was much point in re-recording the exact same thing, so what I'm going to do is insert that clip. Just bear in mind when you're watching it, the picture on the screen won't be the cats that you see here, it will be the picture from that other video. But the exact process of how you do it all is the same. When you start the cut process, there'll be an option that says Send to Printer on a green button. Click that and it will open up the print settings. You might see a message telling you that sensor marks have been added. This is part of those new updates to the print and cut process I was just talking about. You don't need to do anything on here, just press Next. If you don't want to see this message every time you do a print and cut, tick the box where it says Don't show this again. Then you'll see the print setup box. Now this part is important. Choose the correct printer in the drop down, and where it says Add Bleed, turn that on. So toggle it so that you show the green as in my image. Bleed adds a little bit of extra colour around all of the edges, and it means that if your print and cut was slightly off and it didn't quite cut right, you won't end up with white edges of cardstock along the sides. It will still be printed and pretty. Also, make sure you turn Use System Dialog on. That means after you click the print button, it will open up your printer settings so that you can make sure you're printing on the best quality. So this is loaded at my printer box where I can then go and click the Preferences button to open the settings. This box will look a little bit different depending on what type of computer you've got and what type of printer you've got. So if yours looks different to mine, don't worry, just try and find where to open your printer settings, where you can change the paper type and also the quality. For me, that's clicking the Preferences button. Here are my printing preferences. Under media type, I've changed it to glossy photo paper, which is the type of paper I'm using. You can also use matte photo paper if you prefer, or lightweight cardstock. And then if there's an option on there for print quality, which mine does have, change it to high. Whatever the highest setting is, or the best setting in there, or top quality, however it describes it, whichever one you think sounds like it's going to be the best option, as in the highest quality option, go for that. For me, that's the option called High under Print Quality. Then hit OK and print, and we're ready to go. After you've sent your document to print, you'll then get this box. Again, this is something a little bit new. It says Verify Print Quality, and it gives you some steps on there to make sure it's printed exactly as it should. You might find when you're doing your print and cut or before you start, you get a pop-up appear asking you to calibrate your cutting machine. It's up to you if you decide to follow that process through or not. If you've not done print and cut for a long time, it is kind of a good idea to get your machine calibrated for the best possible quality cut. If you decide to do the calibration process, it tells you everything you need to know on the screen. I haven't recorded that separately, but the steps are really self-explanatory and it's easy to do. It does take a little while though, so if you're in a bit of a rush, you might want to skip that step. Full disclosure, I did skip the calibration and mine cut fine, but I could have just been lucky. Who knows? Alright, so go ahead, get that printed, and then follow all the other steps to get the other pieces cut from cardstock, and then we'll see how to put together our Mirage cards. One thing to note though, don't panic when it cuts your images into lots of teeny tiny strips. That is exactly what we want it to do, so that's what we're aiming for. Almost like we're making little jigsaw puzzles out of each of those printed images. Here are all the pieces of my Turn the Wheel card cut out, and now it's time to put it together. You'll need some brads or split pins, only one per card to go through the middle, which is how it turns, and then you'll need some glue and some foam squares. The glue I'm using is Barely Art Glue, but I also like Collal. The reason I like these two glues is they don't bend or wrinkle the card like some glues can do. The foam squares I'm using are from Dot & Dab, but any will do. First, take the fun foam piece and we'll glue our print then cut wheel on top so that the edges line up and the hole in the middle lines up too. If you used several sheets of cardstock instead of the foam, glue all of those together at this point. Try and line up the little ridges on the edges so they go perfectly one on top of the other, like that. And then I'll leave that to dry for a moment. While that's drying, we can fold the base card in half down the score line. There we go. And we can glue the message panel inside as well. It goes inside the card so that you've got a nice area to write your message on. And now, take your inside bit and one of your split pins, and we'll poke the brad, or split pin, whatever you want to call it, through the middle of the wheel, and then also put it through the hole in the front of your cardstock, like that. Open it up, and then open up the legs and fold it in so it's quite tight. And you'll see this can move as the brad rotates. And then you need to stick this on top. The reason we're using foam squares for this is to put it in line with the foam that we've got under here. So you need to be a little bit careful not to add any foam squares where the wheel is going to be positioned. So I can have a thin line along the top, and then I can put some in this bottom bit, but nowhere where that wheel is going to be present. Now I've got my foam squares along the top and along this bottom section. Just double check that's not going to go over the wheel. I think that top one, those two might, so let's just take them off to make sure. And now I can peel all the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. Line this up and it will go on so there's an even amount of your base card showing around all of the sides. I'm not very good at sticking things on straight, so I'm taking my time. That's not very straight. It's important to try and get it straight so that your holes line up. There we go. Push down to get those stuck. And now we've got our card. I can turn it and all the other pictures appear in the window as the wheel is turned. So a little while to get everything done in Design Space, but the actual card goes together super quick. But what if you don't want to use print then cut for the whole front of your card? Here's how you could do it in Design Space using layers that you cut from coloured cardstock instead. Before we finish up, I thought I'd show you a separate version of the card. This one is the jelly bean template, and show how you don't have to print and cut the whole fronts of the cards if you don't want to, and you don't even need to use images in the wheel. For this card, I've added the cute unicorn design from my SVG shop. I'll add the link to that in the description for if you want to use the same one. So this will all be cut out from cardstock, and then I added some shapes in the background of some clouds and a bush. Again, this will all be cut from cardstock, and then I'll glue it together when it's cut out. Therefore, the only print then cut on this one will be what goes in the little shape on the wheel. This time I recoloured the white wheel before I flattened everything to pink, so it will show nice light pink in here. And instead of using images, I've written some text out, so it says "Have a magical birthday." Using text is exactly the same process as what we did at the start of this video with the beach design. So you'd have your grey template, you'd type out your first words, put them inside the shape so that it's perfectly fitting into the white, and then do that for all of the bits of text you want to appear. Then move it over to the white shape like we've done on both of the other examples, the beach one and the cat one, and then delete your grey guide layer when everything's positioned. Drag a box around everything, press flatten, and that will turn your text into this print then cut wheel. I think this is a nice thing to do because the message will reveal itself as the wheel is turned. So whoever you give the card to will have to turn it all the way around to find out what it says. Let's take a look at what this is all like when it's put together. Here's my unicorn card all made up. So as I turn it round, it says "Have a magical," and then birthday, and keep going. And you've got the little rainbow in there on the end. So it's all cut from cardstock and stuck together with glue and foam squares rather than the front of the card being done with the print then cut, like the cat one. So this gives you a little more scope for more creativity and a bit more feeling like you're actually doing some crafting with sticking more little pieces together, but they're both equally lovely, and whichever way you make them, I hope you enjoy creating your very own turn the wheel cards. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make turn the wheel cards with your Cricut machine. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up, and I hope to see you again tomorrow for day 11 of the card making countdown. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!